Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Crazy Cabin Fever Cocktails. I am Tim Little of Distilled Living, and we are produced by Fascination Design. So tonight I want to do a gin cocktail. I know we said something, we think we said something last week, that we were going to do something this week, but we didn't remember what it was, and we couldn't be bothered to look it up. And I had some gin that had come in, and I hadn't had any gin for a little while, so I decided to do a gin cocktail. We also got this cool Amaro, so bitter liqueur and gin, that went down the road of the Negroni. Now, I'm glad I looked this up. And I went to the source, Dale DeGroff's The Art of the Cocktail book, which I think is the authoritative book on this cocktail recipe, because I had always done a Negroni as a 2 parts gin, 1 part each of the other ingredients. But actually, according to his book, it's 1-1-1 with an orange twist on the end. So that's what I'm going to go with for this evening. So I'm going to start with some Hendrick's gin, and then I'm doing this Manhattan or Martini method. So this is going to take a long stir over ice. And 1-1-1 here is 1 ounce of each ingredient. Now move on from the gin to this Amaro. Now the Negroni recipe calls for Campari bitter liqueur by brand name. But the Campari, it's an Italian liqueur, it's great. In the US though, it's made with artificial red dye, food dyes. I don't do food dyes. We don't do that at all here in the house. So we're going with something else we picked up, which is Vincenzi Amaro di Torino liqueur, product of Italy. Which is a little bit sweeter than Campari, so it's going to make a slightly sweeter drink. We've been experimenting a lot with Amaros and bitter liqueurs in the last few months. Hillary's been really getting into those.
Yep. I think you just passed off to me and I didn't realize
I did. She didn't take the hand off.
Did not take the hand off. Okay, so this one in particular has a very orange quality to it, whereas most of the others we've tried in the past do not have that kind of like citrus note. It's not just like an orange juice, it's more like the orange peel itself. It's fairly bitter, but it's also very sweet for an Amaro. I feel like it's not quite as... Some of the other Amaros that we've had have had the bitter quality, but kind of like almost a vermouth quality to them, and I've really liked those. This one I don't think I could sip straight. It's sweet and bitter, but I think it's going to be amazing in this cocktail. Actually, I know it's going to be amazing in this cocktail because Tim already made me one.
Now, not as a test. I started doing the show, and we had a technical issue, like we have sometimes with this show, but never ever with our events, because we're very, very good at our events. And so then I just went ahead and finished it out and gave it to Hillary. So... I got to get my 90-second stir on this. Remember, vermouth does not play well with others. I've got my chilled V Martini glass, and I'm going to pour that in there. Finally, I'm going to give this a little orange twist. It said flaming twist, but I didn't grab the torch, so I'm just going to do little orange twist. It's fairly dry orange, but that's okay. Give it a little rim and drop it in. And I didn't mention my final ingredient, my 1 part, was the Carpano Antica sweet vermouth, which is our default sweet vermouth that we go to every time.
That one as good as the first?
It's sweet, but it's delicious. Man, I will make this again.
If you don't
this is
like
fantastic.
bitter stuff, just FYI, this version is a little bit more bitter, especially with this, than what I recall most Negronis being any other time, really.
Yep. So this has a little bit of bitterness, as Hillary was mentioning. This has a lot of botanical, because we're bringing in the Hendrick's gin. This is a really deep, rich, sweet, complex flavor profile. There's a huge amount going on here. But if you don't like any one of these ingredients, you're not going to like the whole thing, because this is the drink where they all play well together. And you get all of the flavors across the board.
It's really an intense flavor profile with these 3 specifically.
Yeah, that's fantastic though. So there you go. Negroni with 1 substitution on our bitter liqueur. Absolutely delicious. I would highly encourage you to try it, and we will see you next week. Cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Good night.